So I have logged into the Commonapp. This is the main page. Once you've verified your email, you'll see your basic information, the email that you use, your Commonapp number is right here. And this is what will be sent with all of the application documents so that it matches the application in the university's portals. So the tabs here are the things that you could fill in or search from. This is the tab that we will spend the most time in, and that is where we will fill in the data on our specific common application. Then my colleges tab is where we would add schools in which we will send our Commonapp. We can add a school here. It takes us to the college search tab. We could tap any school that's on the list. There's 1,180, and we'll just select the first one on the list for this particular feature. I'm going to add another school that is popular, and I want to do this because I want to see supplements for later. So we'll just add that school as well, Boston University. Now, my college list has the 2 schools listed. We'll come back to that later. The Commonapp tab is where we will fill in our basic information, our education, etc. All of these tabs here. When it is complete, we will be able to submit. So here we go. Just going to put generics here. You would obviously put your own name in. It's going to ask for a date of birth. We'll bring up the calendar. I'm going to say January 1st of 2000. And when we're ready to move on, we hit the continue button. If there was something that was necessary and we skipped it, for instance, take away my last name, it'll bring it to our attention, and then we can fill that back in. And then it just brings up the next section, just all these below. Whatever random address is there, uses Google Maps, you would put your own address in. If I had my bills coming to another address, you could use that address as your mailing address and not your permanent address. That would be up to you. Moving on. Now it asks for a number. I'm going to put in my 66 for Thailand. Put in that number. No alternative number necessary. No one's going to be calling us. And you could see that some things have the asterisk, which are required. Others do not. So if it is not required here, I'm just going to skip it for now. It asks about my military status, if I'm Hispanic, and what ethnic background I have. Asking me about my main language, and that is something that will come up later. So I would just say I'm proficient in one language. That is Thai. And they do have a few different versions there. And I can do any of these that is accurate. It asked me where I am born. I could put Thailand, say Bangkok. I've lived in the United States 0 years. My citizenship status is citizen of a non-US country. And these are saved from before, so I could again tap Thailand. I do not have a US visa. The US visa for university and schooling is F1. I do intend to apply for a different one. And I'm choosing F1 as a student. The other options are there as well, but F1 is what we want. All right, we're moving all the way down our first section. A fee waiver is for folks that are lower income or specifically have received notice that they would get a Commonapp fee waiver from a university. You could read over these, but essentially it doesn't really apply to us as an international student. So we say no. And we are not in any of these particular organization called UStrive. We do not want to connect to a mentor. Okay, so it asks us about our parents' status. I will say that my parents are married, and I make with both parents a permanent home. I do not have any children. If you don't have any information about a particular parent, you can say so, but if you do have information, it will ask you to put in their name, etc. So my mom is living. I will say their name is Mason. I'm going to leave their email off. I'm not putting a phone number because it's not required, but maybe if you did want to, you could. It's asking me the highest level of education they have because, as we mentioned before, if you are a first-generation college goer, you might potentially have some preference in the admissions. My mom went to college, one institution, and I would find that by clicking the button, and we will say Miami. So they went to the University of Miami. I will find University of Miami on this list. There it is. They received 1 degree, a bachelor's degree. And we could say the year, which is probably 1975 or something like that. And the next parent would be father, is living, and just change that to Mason, and go down to where it asks about their education. We'll just say they had no education, but you could put obviously the accurate one for yourself. We'll just save a little time here. Do I have a sibling? I do have one sibling. Put their name. Their age is not necessary. If I wanted to put it, I could put it. They'll wonder about how old that person is because they might potentially look at if they're also in college age, if you have to pay for multiple children, do you need more financial aid because of that? So I'm going to clear out the previous time I did this, and it's asking what is the most recent school. So we need to find VERSO. VERSO probably is already on our list. We have someone in it. There it is. Continue. And it has our information ready to go. We will enter in 2020. Say that we are a freshman when we started. That's August 2020. It is not boarding school. You will graduate from this school. And our graduation date is 2024. We won't do any of these. So no change in progression is the correct answer here. If I went to a different school in 9th or 10th grade, I can now add another school, which we can do. Let's say I attended one school and I could find school number 2. Let's say I went to Patna and I could click it here. It would ask me when. So if I was there for August of 2020, I would put that. But I'm just going to take that off for now. So it's just a matter of making sure your answers match up, and you'll be able to move down to the next section. We've never taken any university coursework, so we would put 0. If you went to a summer program like Cornell's architecture summer program, you could put that there. Our graduating class is 7. We do not rank. Our GPA is on a 4 scale. My GPA, lucky me, 3.5. Unweighted, meaning we don't give extra points for AP or other types of courses. So now it's asking us to tell how many courses am I taking this semester or this year. We can say that our course scheduling is using semesters or yearly, 3, which is a trimester, or quarterly. On our transcript, we use end of year grades. So I'm just going to keep it with yearly. And the option I'm going to say, I'm going to report 1, but if we had 5, we would put 5. If we had 15, we would put 15. But just so I could scoot through the application faster, you would need to put each of your senior year courses here. And the subject we'll pick is pre-calc. So we'll say we're doing math other, course name, AP pre-calculus. And it's an AP class, so we're going to use that. And it's a full year class because we say we're doing full year classes. And you do that for all of your senior year classes. If I had honors, I could hit yes, and I could type in, I'm using this as an example. Let's say you got the honor roll in 9th grade. You could put that there, and it is a school-based award. You could also put something like gold medal in Olympics 2024, whatever. And that would be my senior year in an international competition. Good job. And you just hit continue. A CBO, a community-based organization, is things that have helped people apply. We mentioned that in our previous presentation. But we would say 0. We have not had any help from them. And this explains the type of student you're going to be. I'm not a college student now, and I'm planning on starting in 2024. The highest degree I intend to earn is a bachelor's degree. It's asking me I have to choose a certain type of career, but you're not going to be held to this. If you don't know, they do have options of other or undecided. So I'll choose undecided. And now it's going to ask for the type of testing. We're already halfway done with our application. If we added more classes, it would take more time. It's asking if we want to send an SAT or an ACT or some TOEFL or IELTS. We can say yes. If we say yes on this application, we will have to send scores. And if we do not send scores, even if the school says they're optional, they will expect it and they will have it be marked as incomplete. So if you know you don't want to send scores, choose no. You could still send them to the university outside of the Commonapp, and they will accept that. If we have to do an IELTS or a Duolingo, we need to show our test here. So it's going to ask, once we say yes, to choose the type of test. So I'm going to say that I took a Duolingo English test. And then I will go to the Duolingo website and submit my results to the universities that I'm picking. If I choose a different one, like AP subjects, I can choose to put those there. And see, they show up down here for me to then put some more information. It asks for international. Are you taking a national exam? like the one in Japan or Korea, which we're not taking, so we will say no. And because I said I was going to take AP tests, or have already taken AP tests, I'm going to choose to write one in. My date is May 2024. Yep. Question?
The test score will send to every university that the applicant choose
So
in the Commonapp.
the Commonapp is not going to communicate with College Board. So this is separate. You will send this to the universities that you add under My Colleges, and it has the evidence that you're putting about the scores. But you will still need to go to College Board, which looks like this. When you log into your College Board account, it will ask you to find the code for each university that you added on your Commonapp. Or if you applied somewhere else and it's not on Commonapp, you would still need that university. And then you would put the code in, and it will send up to a certain number for free. So here is sign into my AP, and then you would send your scores that way. And you would just have to remember, I need to make sure I send it to each of the schools that I applied to, if you decide to send them. If you don't decide to send them and you've listed them here, they will ask about it. It seems your application said you were sending some scores. You would have to communicate with that university to say, oh, actually, I decided not to. Can you amend that in my application? And they would do that. Does that answer the question?
Yes,
so
thank you.
Separate systems, unfortunately. Okay. All right, so we're going to choose chemistry as a subject. You can choose any of the AP subjects that are listed here. And good for me, I got a 5 at the end of last year. If your date is in the future, that's where you would just put this year's. Or if you took it last year, you would just change the date to 2023 or whenever you decided you had taken it. And it asked me about how did I take the Duolingo. I took it once. I don't want to do it again. And I've got 160s on the date when I took it in August 1st. All 160s. So I got to fill in this because I chose it, but I could also just delete it. Okay. After you've added all the types of tests you took and want to report, you then move on to your activity list. And this will show you 10 blank areas for you to write into. If you want to report them, you hit yes. And it starts off, just put all these empty. I was already doing this with the students. So our first activity, if we use the example from real life, I was doing student counseling. So I was doing something related to service, community service, volunteering. I did counseling mentor or mentee. What do we call mentor? Counseling mentor for an organization called VERSO Cares. And then I have 150 characters, which is a couple of lines of text. It's not much to say what I did. So I'm going to say that I was a summer camp counselor for VERSO Cares camp. I might say something like, I supported teens' mental health. And then if I kept typing, it would eventually stop me. and that's as far as I could get. So I have that much space to fill in what I could do. And I did it in my 12th grade summer, so I'll say that. During a school break, I spent 30 hours a week doing it, but it was only 3 weeks. I want to do something similar, yes. And when I hit this, I can add another activity. It takes me to activity number 2. I can do the same thing. So we're choosing what is the type. We're typing in what my job was or my position was. If it was a sport, you would do a position. For what organization, it could be my team sport. If I was a private, let's say I was a tennis player, I would just say for the tennis team I was on, or if I was an individual WTA tennis player, what did I do? What did I receive from that? How long did I do it during my school years? What time of year was it? And how long I spent on it. And that is all you need. I'll take away the second one. And once you've finished out all your activities, move on to the next section, which is the writing. So here we've listed our schools. They want the Commonapp essay, and this is where we would choose from these topics which one we wrote about, and then it will open a blank for us to then paste in our. So my essay is about a moment of personal growth. So this is my prompt, and I've already written out my essay. So I'm going to copy it and paste it in. There we go. So I still have quite a bit more words to write, but that's the essay I want to put. If I wanted to do a different one, I just have to choose a different topic. But the idea is you're pasting in one that relates to what you wrote about. And we would move on from that. This is asking, is there anything that the universities need me to know about or need me to tell them? So was I sick for a long amount of time and I was unable to do schoolwork? Or did I have a death in my family or something that prevented me from maintaining my standards? Was there something that happened in my family where they lost all the money and I'm not able to go to the same school? Whatever it is that you want to add here, could be positive, could be negative, you can put here. And then it will open a text box for you to write whatever is necessary. So this one relates to COVID-19 or natural disasters, or anything else that relates to family circumstances. So I wrote, I got COVID in 2020 and I took a semester off from school to recover. And my building was locked down many times, so that prevented me from doing something. The universities will read that and they could look at that and then take that into account when they're looking at my 2020 grades. And if I needed to reflect something about my time at VERSO, I could do that here as well, providing details of circumstances or qualifications not reflected in my application. So let's say VERSO, in my 10th grade year, I ended up getting a failing grade because I didn't submit some work, and I want to show that I grew from that. That's not going to be listed on my transcript. It's only the grade. So if I want to explain something that happened, I could write out, I was unable to complete my assignments and whatever happened. And then the universities would see that there. Another thing that you might want to explain is if something happened with discipline. For instance, I was suspended. It shows up on my record that I was suspended. What happened was, here's my explanation. Here's what I grew from that. Here's who I am now. That explains it a little bit. So those are optional additional information answers that you could use if you needed to explain something that's not on your transcript or anywhere else. And that goes into the whole thing about holistic admissions. They want you to be able to explain yourself so they could be making a good judgment about you. Okay, so now we've gotten all the way through the big part of our Commonapp. And depending on the school that you listed under your colleges, you may need to have each of your courses and grades listed. This is sometimes called a self-report. So if I had to, I would then have a list of here that would have grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, and each course I took, which is basically replicating your transcript. This allows colleges to make an algorithm to easily scan over your grades as a way to assess you. Not every school needs it. The schools on my list currently do not need that, but I could find the list here. Here's a list of colleges that require courses and grades. So it's not a huge list, but there are some schools that get a lot of international applications on this list. So USC is on this list, the University of Washington, University of Wisconsin, Madison is on this list, popular schools. If I needed to, I'll go ahead and add in a school from my college list that does have that. What if I wanted to go to Purdue? And I click add. And then I go back to my list, and now it says it's required at Purdue. Can I access a copy of my transcript? Yes. So I can go to the college counselor and ask, I need my list of courses so that I can do a self-report here in the Commonapp. And then it opens up the grades, and then you would put in, I've already done this from a previous class, add a 9th grade, and here we go. It gives you a couple of tips. We'll just skip that part for now. And my school name is VERSO. The year was 2021. And my grade scale, we use the A through F on our transcripts for a year-long class. And my first subject might be math, so we'll say algebra. And they might have the learning lab names, but essentially algebra is what will show up on the transcript. Regular level. And my final grade, lucky me, I got an A. I got 1.0 credits for that. And then one more subject, we'll choose a foreign language, Thai. Thai 1 maybe. Course level regular. My final grade, I got a B, but I got my 1.0 credit for a full year. And that might be it for now. If you were at another school, you could just add it from another transcript and do the same exact steps. And you do this for each year until you got all of your classes done. So now we can get to the part where we submit. I'm going to remove Purdue because I don't want to keep that section on my account. One of the reasons this is kind of a trending thing as universities are getting more and more applications. They're trying to find ways to make it easier to get through all the information. So if they can get the student to fill out this table, it's faster for them to export it into their application software manager or whatever they call it on their end. So they ask the students to do that. It saves them a few minutes of somebody manually putting that in.
Okay.
But that's why they do it. But not everybody is doing that. So it's not a lot of schools. Some of them have their own, which is outside of the Commonapp. Once you've applied, you will then be asked to submit to a link the same thing. And that's how it's done in other ways. Okay, so let me just kick on that recording. All right.
Recording in progress.
So we're back at the part where we're now finished with almost every part of our application. We've pasted that in, so we just want to make sure we get our checks on the edge, which we do. and we're almost ready to submit. The next thing are supplements. There are parts of the application that are specific to each university. Some have 0 extra things, and some schools have multiple supplemental things to write. So this college is in Wales, and if you look at the information that they have listed, they don't have anything besides the Commonapp essay. There's one required question that we will do, and we're going to look at it right here. So they say that they don't have this ready yet, and you could work on other sections of the application until they finish. So this school doesn't quite have it finished together. Every common application will ask you to waive access so that people can send things on your behalf. And FERPA is a federal privacy law similar to that data privacy law that Thailand has now. But you have to release so that your school can help send your documents. So these are those instructions. Basically, you just have to click a few boxes. I waive my right to review recommendations and supporting documents. I understand my waiver, and it works for all of my colleges that I'm going to apply. And then you just type in your name and put the date. This will then allow your universities to receive stuff from your high school. If you choose that you do not waive, some schools will not send anything. So it's always right to waive your rights and understand that the waiver pertains to the schools that you're applying. And then that's a checkbox. So we're all done for that. For Boston University, this is already selected and checked, so good for us because we just did it. Let's see what questions they have. So here are Boston University's questions. When will we start? We're going to start in September. We could be applying early decision because it's still early enough. 1 or 2. 2, it just means it's the second round of early decision. And regular decision, which is our January deadline. So we'll just choose regular decision for now. They're test optional. Are you sending scores? Yes or no? We will say no. If you do say yes, it's okay. It's already filled in on the other blank from our Commonapp. If you say no, same thing. Where will you live? On campus or off campus, and how? So we will choose to live on campus. We do not qualify for a fee waiver because we are not at a Boston public school. We will apply for financial aid. If you're not going to, you just say no. And here it's asking about social security numbers or some kind of tax ID. I am not a US citizen, so that's not for you. Have you ever been found responsible for disciplinary violations at a high school? So this basically means, have you been suspended or gotten into a major incident, not like detention one day, but major things. And here they list a few: probation, suspension, removal, dismissal, or expulsion. So before we were asked to put in additional information, you could explain what happened if this was something about your family situation. But for now, we'll say no. If we say yes, a box opens up again for you to explain it. So you could be honest here. If you do not be honest, you might get away with it. But if one of your recommenders happens to mention, I was in class with them when this incident happened and they got suspended, you will be found to have been unethical, and you're probably not going to get the acceptance you thought you might get. So just be honest about these things. It's not going to exclude you potentially. But if you lie about it, it will 100% disqualify you if they find out. Here they're asking if you've been convicted of any domestic violence or sexual offense or knife, kidnapping, etc., causing harm to someone else. And this is legally convicted, not accused. You would say no or yes. And ROTC, which we know about here in Thailand, this is, are you interested in doing ROTC at their campus? Probably not. and we move on to the next thing. They ask us where we're going to apply at their school. So if we were going to do something like biology, we would find the school that best relates to that. And that's probably in the College of Arts and Science. And a list, if we don't know what major, so there's biology, we could find undecided somewhere. There it is, undeclared. And do you want to be considered for general studies if necessary? Sure, why not? Are you interested in applying to honors college? If your grades are very high and you like a smaller learning environments, potentially living in an honors college, like a dorm or situation like that, you can say, yes, I want to be qualified or to be looked at if I'm qualified for honors college. And if you are applying for a certain scholarship, do you want to be assessed for that while you're applying? Sure, why not? If you know you qualify, you should try to do that. And you can learn about that by clicking the button and reading about it. Do you want to be a pre-professional advisory program? If so, one of these law, medicine, or veterinary. We're not going for that type of application, so we'll say no. And we move on. Have we applied before? No. Continue. So there's a lot of questions here for Boston University. Do we have any siblings there? No. Has anyone ever attended? No. Has anyone ever worked for? No. Am I a citizen or permanent resident? No. Do I want to submit my financial documentation? So in our class together, we're starting the CSS profile, which is another College Board form that will show what a family has as far as their assets or their tax liabilities, and that helps the universities that use that form show what they are eligible for in terms of financial aid or financial need. So here, you don't have to do this for now, but they do have their own form. So I might say yes if I need financial aid, and you could upload what you've already done. And if you say you don't need it, it will skip over that. And it asks me where I'm born. Say Bangkok. My residency is not in America. I do not currently hold a green card. Am I a dual citizen? So you say leave that blank. If we apply, what is my current address? So I think I used 1 Main Street from before in Thailand. Okay. And now Boston University has some writing supplements, small essays. They explain, the first one is using this quote, and then they say, please respond to one of the 2 questions with less than 300 words. Question number 1 here, or question number 2. So then we choose the one we want to write, and then we would fill in our box here, and when we were done, we would move down. They have their honors college, and it's asking if we want to be considered. We would then add in another supplemental essay, either this answer or this answer. We'll leave that blank for now. And they ask if you have some additional information, materials, or writing samples, you can upload it there. For the trustee scholarship essay that they mentioned above, you would follow the quote and then answer the question, is there a book, film, podcast, etc., or describe a time where you felt out your comfort zone, and you would fill that in. And then it asks about recommendations, and this happens for all the schools that require them. If Boston University requires, they'll be listed here. To invite your recommender, we're using Unifrog to send these recommendations. It uploads to Unifrog. It connects to our Commonapp. But you would type in here, invite a recommender, The counselor one is here. The teacher one is here. These are ones that have already been uploaded. We don't need these PDF forms because they pre-populate in Unifrog. But if you needed to send it to somebody, you could. And so here, a teacher recommendation, one is required and one is optional. So we can invite our recommenders that way. We've already done this elsewhere. But if we had to add someone, this is what that box looks like. So you would type in the address of whoever. You would say, who are they? Could be my swim coach or some president, Joe Biden, whoever. It doesn't matter. You would then put their name, and then it would send a link to that person to fill in an application for you. What does the form look like? If you use a Commonapp form, it looks like this. It asks, what subject did you teach them? How long have you known them? What are the words that come up? What grade level were they when you taught them? What subjects did you teach? All this is already kind of built into our template at school. And then there's boxes for you to rate on these particular character traits. And you would just be able to click a box if this was online, which we have built into our Unifrog, a digital signature, and then this gets attached digitally to that. And then when we are done, we move on. And it wants us to submit the following items first. So it's prompting us what we skipped. So now I'll look through to see which one I'd skipped. The essay questions. I chose an answer here. I need to do one here. So we type that. And let's continue. It did ask for that third one. I saw it at the bottom, just at the end. 1, 2, 3. So we choose the topic 2, we put something in, and now we have the checkbox for the questions. Now we have completed our Commonapp for the schools we wanted to apply for. If we had more schools on this list, they may have more steps, but it would just be a repetition of the same types. Now we would go to review and submit. It's going to give us an option to create a PDF that we could look through with our counselor, our parents, ourselves, double check each of the boxes. We can click that here. And this is what it would preview print. So everybody could look on this and say, yes, that's correct. Now it's ready to be submitted. That's what that looks like. I reviewed it, I check a box, I hit continue. Now is the time for the money. It's going to ask you to go to a payment process, whether that's a bank transfer or a credit card. You'll see here, you need to be directed to the right one. Once you pay, it'll say, are you ready to submit? You click the button yes, and when you hit submit, you get confetti, and it's a celebration. And after that, you just wait for the university to email you, whichever universities that you added, will say, thank you for applying to Boston University. Here's access to your Terrier portal. And then you would log in. And from then on, you really wouldn't go back to Commonapp. You would go directly to the university's portal to then either add documents or check on the status of your review. It usually takes about 2 weeks for a university to add everything into the portal so that it looks like it's been received. So there is some lag there. So I've picked my payment method and I hit submit.
But can I ask
Yes.
a question? Once you submit, you cannot change anything in Commonapp anymore, right?
You cannot change it for the school that you submitted for. But you don't have to submit all at once. So if you submit for your early decision school in October and you want to add schools in December, you can. You would just go back in, edit, and then hit submit on the school that you're sending for. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It ended up being a one-on-one session. So congratulations on your first Commonapp tutorial. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.